For me, the first step of starting to build any kind of wealth or any kind of financial freedom for yourself, financial independence, is your skill. When you learn a high income skill, you're giving yourself the best chance at earning a good income. And when I say high income skill, I mean like wherever you are right now, just know that it doesn't have to be your final destination and that you can learn anything. Like, I strongly believe that you can improve at any skill you feel like you're bad at. Like you can just work on it. It comes with practice. For me, contracting paid well. Say for example, you're on a 6-month contract or on a day rate of like maybe 400, 500 a day. That could be a 60, 50k salary. And that's just 6 months. Fundamentally, when it comes to negotiating, you have to be willing to walk away. Whoever is the most willing to walk away will always win the negotiation. And when it comes to corporate, that looks like in this market, it's important to be a bit more tailored, a bit more intentional, a bit more potentially even going as far as tailoring your CV to that company. I think it's very important to know like what your end goal is for your career. We live in a day and age where you can actually design your lifestyle. You just have to be very strategic and intentional. You can choose when you retire. You don't have to go with the government's retirement age. If you had the funds to retire next week, you could. The corporate world is basically like a game. Basically, you have to learn to play it. But I learned very quickly that, oh, this is a game. People are watching and you need to kind of...
You're not defined by where you come from.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big message that I always want to tell people. Like
you have to be able to be uncomfortable. Like be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
When you grow up in ends, you don't realize it when you're confident, but you have an audacity to do things that ordinarily most people wouldn't be willing to do.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Atto. We've got special guests in the building. Kenny, how you doing today?
Hello, Atto. I'm doing very well. I'm doing very good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You know, it's one of those days I was telling you offline, like, it was mad busy. So, you know, how was your day? Was it busy?
Yeah, my day it started off a bit slow. I think I was saying to you earlier, but it got better progressively. Like it just got better and better and better. And now we're here. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, same here. I've seen you blazing up the internet, TikTok and that. TikTok. Yeah, I think I came across your video. I think it definitely was career advice. I remember it being about career advice. And that kind of stuck with me because I think like, you know, especially in the day and age right now, you know, the job market is a little bit mad. It's a little bit mad. So we're going to obviously try and help people as much as we can. So who is Kenny?
Who is Kenny? That's a very good question. Where do I start? Who is Kenny? I mean, I'll start with what I'm doing right now and then we can kind of, you know, backtrack if we want to. So yeah, I mean, in terms of who I am, Kenny right now is a content creator. I talk about careers, personal finance. I just share my journey online. I share my tips, like anything I learn, I just go online and just share that straight away, which is something I enjoy doing. I'm also I'm a corporate babe as well. I'm a corporate 9-to-5 girly, like I call myself on TikTok. And yeah, that's what I like to share. I've also more recently become a business owner. So yeah, started running a business. I found a way to serve people, serve members of my audience, and I've just been spending time doing that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much me, like in a nutshell, right now. Anyway.
Amazing. And we'll talk a little bit about like how you obviously got to there, like the value that you're also adding to people's life, because I think it's great. But let's talk a bit about your story. Where are your parents from?
Where are my parents from? So my parents are from Nigeria,
okay,
both Nigerian, and I was born and bred in Nigeria.
Oh,
actually,
nice.
Yeah. So I grew up there till I was about 10 years old, I think. Lived in a couple of countries within that time, actually. So a bit of a globetrotter from young. Parents always like moving from here and there. And then we ended up in the UK around like 10 years old.
Cool.
So that's kind of where my parents are from, yeah.
Do you have a lot of memories of Nigeria? Do you remember what it was like growing up there?
Do I remember? Do you know what? Yeah, I do, you know how like those really young years are very like formative, and you kind of, there's certain things you just can't forget, right? So I just remember like Lagos, and even within Lagos, we moved around so much. So like I'm someone that's just so used to change, because like things have always been changing for me. My childhood was very much like moving from one area to that area, you know, always moving. Things are always changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lagos was fun. Lagos is still how Lagos is today.
Yeah.
Like, ask anyone that lives in Lagos and knows Lagos. Hustle and bustle, like just very lively, big on community, things like that. Okay. And moving over to the UK was Very different.
Yeah. Yeah, explore that. Tell me a little bit about that. What was it different? Whereabouts did you move to in the UK?
So we landed in West Sussex, actually.
Okay, West Sussex. So like down like south.
Near Brighton side.
Yeah, Brighton side.
Yeah, near Brighton, Hayward Heath. Lived in a little town called Hayward Heath, actually.
I know that, yeah.
Oh, do you know Hayward Heath? No one knows what Hayward Heath is.
Yeah, because I went to uni in Sussex, so that's how I know it.
Okay, you would know. But West Sussex, it was it was so different. It was so different. Like literally went from living in Lagos to going to a school where I was the only black girl in my year. And that was very different for me. And the kids, kids can be very mean.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Okay.
And it's, when you're different, and the kids will remind you of how different you are and ask you questions about, did you live on the trees? And did you it was like, did you?
What is that about? What?
Literally, that was like what we went through, like growing up. Like it was me and my siblings as well going through that, and it was very, very different, and we really struggled to fit in, to be honest.
Okay.
As kids, but progressively, eventually we ended up moving out of West Sussex, and I moved more towards London, and things kind of started changing, started integrating into areas with more diversity and more people that look like us, more Nigerians, and then things started to kind of balance out, and the experience got a bit better. Then went to university and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
oh, mad. That's sorry about that experience. I mean, that is what happens, right? Sometimes, unfortunately. I guess how obviously on the academic side, how was you in school? Like, was it
how was I in school?
into, or?
Do you know what? Like because I do remember, like I have memories from Nigeria. I was very good in school, actually. So it was a thing whereby like I wasn't necessarily like automatically top of class, but when I put in effort, then I could really become like top of class. So like in Nigeria, I remember doing really well, and then moving over to the UK education system as like a 10-year-old, that was a bit of a shock to the system. So that kind of rocked my grades a little bit, because I was still trying to just get used to this new change, new system, blah blah blah. But then eventually I started to kind of gain my momentum back, and I ended up getting quite good GCSEs. So like lots of A's, couple of B's.
Okay.
Like
nice.
yeah, it was like just above average, not quite top of class, but above average kind of thing. And that's where I've kind of hovered around in terms of my education, until I actually went to university. And then, how I said I'm the kind of person that if I put in effort, I'm not automatically top of class, but if I put in the effort, then I can be. And then first year of university, I basically didn't really put in the effort, and then I ended up failing my first year of university.
Wow.
Yeah. So literally went to uni, picked a science degree because, doctor, lawyer,
It's always them
I was
subjects,
pursuing
man.
the doctor. I was literally pursuing the doctor dream, the dream of becoming a doctor. And then I ended up actually failing my first year because I was just like, number one, obviously not passionate about it. And then I kind of lacked focus a little bit. So that was like quite a turning point for me, actually. That point of like failing first year of university.
What do you learn about yourself?
Yeah, no, I learned a lot about myself. I think that's where I started to learn that, okay, Kenny, you do need to put in, like, you need to be very deliberate for you to actually succeed academically. You're not one of those people that is just like, wake up and you're an Oxford graduate. Like, some people are like that, but you're just not one of those people. So know yourself and act accordingly.
Yeah.
So it really took me having to like really fail that year, and that felt like rock bottom, because I knew I wasn't like stupid for lack of a better word, but then I just kind of was thinking to myself, so what's happened here? And then I noticed that it was a lack of focus, so not really being focused on a goal of like really wanting to do well, and a lack of community. Like I didn't really ask for help. Like I was kind of deceiving myself, pretending that I was studying, but I wasn't really. And I didn't really use my lecturers. I didn't really get stuck into that university life of really taking advantage of the resources that are available to me. So like redid that year, so redid first year. And then all those lessons that I had learned about, focus, community, asking for help, and just even surrounding yourself with the right people as well. Because I kind of changed, because I ended up actually moving to a different uni.
Okay.
So it was like a new environment, and I was able to just really focus, get my head down. And then I ended up graduating with a first class.
Oh, that's
degree.
Amazing. What a turnaround.
Yeah. No, I had to turn it around because it was quite depressing. It was quite a dark time for me, just being like, wow, like, how are you failing uni? Like no one fails first year of uni. So it just highlighted for me the importance of, like I said, community, surroundings, like who your friends are. Like, are you around people with similar goals to you? Like that really helped me as well. And then just asking for help. Like those things are really important.
Very important. Even nowadays, I feel like a lot of people are scared to ask for help because it's like an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
But why not, right? If you
Yeah.
get help and somebody helps you, what, like,
Yeah.
we all get help. People help me by watching the podcast, right? Do you know what I
Literally,
mean?
like, no
The
man
guests
is
help
an
me by
island.
coming on the podcast, so like
That's
we all
it.
need help. Like I don't get why people.
No one knows it all. Like
Exactly.
nobody knows it all. Like collaboration, asking for help is key.
Yeah.
Like if you talk to people that are doing big things, it's all about collaboration. Because no one knows it all. You need people. We need community.
Yeah.
And I'm so big on that. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot more. But for
Yeah.
me, community and my community and the people around me have been so key on my journey. Yeah.
Love that. So what was like after university? Obviously, you what was the degree that you said that you did?
So I ended up doing forensic science.
Okay,
That's
that's
the degree.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Going to a crime scene and
Oh, man.
fingerprints and blood samples and
Okay.
taking things and taking them to the lab and
That's
testing them
interesting.
and basically trying to solve criminal cases with science, essentially,
that's
which was
interesting.
really interesting actually.
Yeah.
But then there was quite a lot of like statistics. So I quite liked maths. There was some biology, chemistry. There was a bit of everything that I quite liked. Like I really did like science growing up.
Okay.
So that had a bit of everything, and I
Yeah.
quite enjoyed it, to be honest. And I think that played a part in me doing quite well at it.
Okay. Did you become a forensic?
No.
No. What happened? Why do you not do that?
Third year of uni, I was like, I don't want to become a forensic scientist, because I started like kind of investigating and looking into like the pay. How much do forensic scientists even really get paid? And the pay was not looking great.
What was the pay like? 25, 30?
Yeah, it was
40?
like it was like 20K.
Oh my god.
And then it's like once you start getting experience, it doesn't even go up by much. Like at the time, I don't know if things have changed right now, but
Yeah.
at the time it just wasn't appealing to me, because I've been always
Yeah.
like, do you know, if I'm gonna put effort into something, it needs to be worth it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I'm sorry, but financially, everything, it needs to make sense.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. And at the end of the day, I was like, do you know what? I picked a degree just to pick a degree at the end of the day. So I don't think I want to make this my career, because at the end of the day, I'm scared of blood. Like, like
Okay.
I don't really like I'm
Okay.
quite squeamish. I'm not, and
Yeah.
I kind of learned about myself that actually this isn't really the path for you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna start focusing on more like finance stuff, because I started
Okay.
to kind of gain an interest in that. So I was like, I'm gonna kind of try and pursue that instead.
Okay, cool. So what do you end up, I guess, what was like your first foray into finance? You said that that's what you did after.
Yeah.
uni instead, right?
So my first role after uni, after a long, hard few months of being jobless and being a waitress.
That's not that bad. Few months. Some people are a few years.
That's true. At
I
the
mean,
time,
even people right now listening like, "Rah, Kenny, you serious?"
really, oh gosh, no. At the time, it felt those.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 to 4 months. It felt
Okay.
like forever,
Yeah.
because I was, when like you get a first class, right? I grinded for that first class degree. So in my head,
Yeah.
it's like I'm a first class degree, and everyone's like, oh, first class. You think, yeah, okay, well, what have you got for me?
Yeah.
What's my reward? Crickets.
It's what happens, isn't it? Like it's mad like what the real one. It really humbles you. You think,
It
yeah.
humbled
And then it's not like that. Nah.
It was crickets.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed, because I thought, yeah, first class, because I grinded for that first class. I even won an award in uni
Oh man.
as the most dedicated student in my degree group.
Wow.
So I went from failing to earning that, because they saw how much work I put in. I was
Yeah.
always on the lecturer's case asking them questions. Anyway, I digress. So I think because of all the work I put in, and I, ended up getting that first class that I was wanted so bad. And I was like, okay, what's my reward? Everyone around me was like, yeah, first class. Oh, you be fine. You get something ASAP. Employers will be queuing up for you. And they just weren't.
Okay.
They just weren't.
Oh my gosh.
So I ended up doing like some waitressing gigs, like locally and stuff like that. But things changed eventually when I learned about the importance of like mentorship, right? And it wasn't even a thing where I was like actively seeking for a mentor, which I think people should. But at the time, I wasn't like, oh, I need a mentor. It was actually a lady I came across at church. So again, community, right? My church community had people, professionals and things like that. And then, got talking, telling this auntie that I knew, actually, Auntie Tokwe, if you're watching this, shout out to you, Auntie Tokwe. But and then ended up telling her my situation. She worked in a bank at the time. She worked in banking. And then she was just kind of like, okay, yeah, come to my house. I'll help you out with this. Okay, let me look at your CV. And she was looking at my CV like, what is this? Like, this ain't it. And then she helped me work on that, helped me work on my interviewing skills, and just really took me from this clueless graduate who was turning up to, I actually had one interview in those like 3 to 4 months, and it was a shambles. It was so bad. Like, I flopped it to the point where I'm pretty sure they were looking at me like, why is she here?
Wow.
So that wasn't great for my confidence.
Yeah.
But I think once I got that help of someone who was already doing what I wanted to do, she was already working in a bank, I was interested in finance, and she was able to really just guide me through that process. And that was a turning point for me in terms of just having that mentor.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're fortunate you got a mentor very early on in your career to help you, like guide you through that. I guess like, so then what was like the outcome of that mentorship? Because obviously you said that helped you. So what happened after that?
Yeah, no, so she was actually able to then refer me. So she was able to refer me for a job, and she was just like, yep, I've referred you for this job. And luckily for me, I actually got a call back. I got a call back for an interview, and I was so happy. Like I remember just being so happy. Oh God, finally, like, you know, this bank, and this, it's kind of a role that I was very interested in. It was kind of like the financial crime compliance kind of space, and I was quite interested in that. And so she helped me prepare as well for my interview, because if not, like I was so bad at interviews. So it was good to just have that person there to help me to prepare for the interview, tell me, okay, this is what they're going to expect you to say. And that was just so like valuable for me.
Yeah.
So valuable for me. And it's the same of kind of like having a coach or mentor. But no, she was very pivotal for me, and you know, she helped me through that process, and then I ended up getting that job. Amazing. And there was a lot of confidence. I was able to show up to that interview with confidence, knowing that okay, I kind of know what to expect, and that's really, really important for people to just have that help.
It's crazy that you say that, like you were clueless at interviews, and now you're like interview whiz. They're like you give so many great tips on interviews. It's wild, like how you could do
it's crazy.
A 180 on things like that. Yeah,
things can change so much, but it just goes to show that like wherever you are right now, just know that it doesn't have to be your final destination, and that you can learn anything, you can improve at anything. Like I strongly believe that you can improve at any skill that you feel like you're bad at. Like you could just work on it. It comes to practice. And you know, I've had so many even after that, you know, I fortunately was able to get that job, but I've had instances during the course of my career so far where I've gone to interviews and I've flopped again and I've just like not done a great job. But then those have taught me. I've learned those rejections, those, you know, going to interviews and not performing as well as I wanted to do, or even going to interviews and performing well and still being rejected. That's been a learning curve for me, and that's why I'm now able to so confidently come online and be like, actually, this is how I think you should interview. I think this is a good tip, that's a good tip. It's been a journey. Like nothing happens overnight.
Obviously. So what was the role you said? Was it like it was compliance analyst? Was that?
It was like a compliance analyst role.
Wow.
Within commercial banking.
Okay. Oh, commercial banking. Oh, nice.
Commercial banking at the time.
Okay, mad. Okay, so obviously, so some people listening to this obviously might be familiar with your videos. So one of the videos I watched, right, was about you saying that you obtained a salary of over 100K by the time you were 26.
Yes.
That's crazy considering the story that you told us, right? Of, you know, failing first year, graduating first year. So I guess, how did you achieve that? How did that happen?
Contracting.
Yeah.
So it's essentially after like 5 years. So I had a few roles. So that first graduate role, I started off on a 28K ish salary. It happened to be a contract role actually. So it was a contract role, and it kind of like, if you added up the day rate and made it like into an annual salary, it was around 28K, right? That's how much I was earning as a graduate. And then after that contract role, they made me permanent. So then it became like a 30K salary, I'm pretty sure at the time. And then I had another role at a startup. And so I feel like the reason why I'm just kind of telling you the whole story is because it kind of adds up to why I was able to get that 100K at 26. And then I left the commercial banking job, and then I moved to a startup. So I was actually headhunted for the startup. They were like starting a company, and they wanted someone to kind of basically start up their compliance department. So bearing in mind, I'm going from this like junior role, like quite junior role, and then they've approached me with this opportunity, and it's like senior, it's like a compliance manager role. And I was like, I don't know if I should be doing that. But then again, community. So I had people around me, like colleagues, like family, friends, that were just kind of like, no, you can do it. Like, you can do it. You've got the knowledge. You've got the know-how. You can do this role. And they were offering 40K salary. They were offering a 40K salary, right? And at the time, I was just kind of like, 40K, like, that's so much money. Like, at the time, I felt like that was a lot of money, right? And I was just like, oh, what are they going to expect me to be doing? Like, I don't, you know, this is just a lot. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. But again, that encouragement, that affirmation, and I took the role. I went there, did the interview, did really well. And then they were just like, yep, we want you. And then they I actually, that was my first time I was negotiating a salary.
Okay.
Right, because they offered the salary of 40k, and then during the process they tried to reduce it, and I had to now negotiate it back.
Yeah. They tried to reduce it.
Yeah, they tried to be like, oh, I'll offer you a little bit more, because I think maybe they knew that I was a bit junior, but they knew I was promising I could probably do the role. So I think they tried it, and I was just kind of like, no, I had to like negotiate it and really sell my value to them to bring it back up.
Okay.
So I was able to like negotiate that salary, and I was thinking, why are you trying to reduce it? Like, no, pay me the 40k and more.
That is a madness.
And then I took that role, and that was like quite a big boost for my salary. I didn't even know you could have like a 10k pay rise, like by moving jobs. At the time, it was just like, whoa. And I was 23 at this point, so I was just feeling like, oh, do you know what? This is a great salary. Like, this is great. And then after that role, that was a permanent role. I ended up going into contracting. And I said I started out my career kind of as a contractor for a few months, and then got made perm. So I ended up, and because I was kind of familiar with the contracting world, I was able to get a contract role. So now I'm back in a contract role, and this was when, from the 40k role, my salary jumped up to around 72k after that 40k role. And then I was contracting. I was there for, this was a big four, one of the big four companies, and then I was there for about a year, and then I moved into another contract role, and then my day rate increased with more experience. At this point, I had like 5 years of experience under my belt, or just under 5 years, and I was able to command a higher day rate, and that pushed me into the 100k mark.
Wow. Wow. So why did you, that's amazing. That's an amazing, and the salary just kept on going up as your experience. Yeah.
To the point where like I just got used to that. Like it was like 20k jumps just became the norm. I was like, people are taking 5k pay rises, like, huh? Like I just, to me, I was just like, it just had to keep going up and up and up, and I wouldn't take an opportunity unless I was seeing a significant bump in my salary at the time.
How did you manage that? How did you manage to, obviously, you did contracting, but how did you manage to negotiate it up like that?
Just talking to people. Again, it's community, right? Because I was quite young. At this point, I'm in my early 20s, and I just had people. I was so fortunate and blessed, right, to just have people around me that were just like, oh no, you need to ask for more than that. Oh no, why are they trying to reduce your salary? Just being able to talk to people that have done this before you. No man is an island. Like a lot of the things I've learned from people. So just having people there to encourage me, having the community there to just encourage me, and just be like, you need to negotiate that salary. And that gave me the boldness, that backing to be like, I'm going to go and negotiate the salary. And telling me how to do it, how to communicate my value, how to do my market research on sites like Glassdoor, Fishbowl, and look at, okay, what's the market rate? And being able to ask for more confidently. Yeah. Confidence is key. Yeah. When you're negotiating.
You think confidence is like one of the number one things, yeah?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Like if you're asking for a higher day rate or salary than you're being offered, then you need confidence in that. And with confidence, with evidence comes confidence. Like if you have the evidence, you've done your research, your worth, the unique skills that you bring to the table, and you can use that to negotiate and be like, well, this is what I bring to the table. And I think fundamentally when it comes to negotiating, you have to be willing to walk away. Like whoever is the most willing to walk away will always win the negotiation. And when it comes to corporate, that looks like ideally having maybe multiple offers on the table, and then that, okay, well, if I have that offer, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to try my best here, and then it's called leverage. You kind of leverage what you have. But I know that's a very idealistic situation. It's not always, especially in this job market.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, nah. Like, what are you talking about, Kenny? Nah, we taking anything right now.
Yeah, no, exactly. So but this was my experience. But I completely get the job market is so different right now.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Of a madness right now. Obviously we're gonna try and add as much value as we can to people.
For sure.
I guess why did you decide contracting? Because even that is still a risk in itself. Why did you decide? Okay, even quite young, like the money's there, but still some people wouldn't jump at that.
Yeah, and I know lots of people that are just like not with it. Like, I remember I had friends at the time who, when I told them I was taking a contract role, and they just couldn't believe it. Like, you're gonna just take the 6-month contract. What's gonna happen after 6 months? But I guess it's just in my personality, just to be a bit more of like a risk taker. Like I've always been quite open to risk, calculated risks. Always. Calculated. But I've always been kind of open to risk, and I think, to be honest, what helped me a lot and gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I can be a contractor, is just knowing it's like my financial habits, my financial my personal finance habits from quite a young age helped me a lot, because if we're going to go into personal finance, I left university with like quite a lot of like overdraft debt because I was quite reckless with spending in uni, and I just wasn't really that cautious of my finance. So again, that kind of rock bottom point with my finances, being in minors, taught me that, okay, Kenny, you need to be good with money. It was kind of like how the rock bottom university experience taught me to take my studies more seriously, and then the rock bottom kind of being in overdraft debt taught me to be serious with my finances. And then at that point, then I knew, okay, I need to start saving. I need to start saving a portion of my income, even when I was on minimum wage, saving that every single month. And then that habit started out from uni, like just before I left uni, I started that. And then I took that habit into my 20s, still do that till today. But just knowing that I have some savings and I'm living at home with my parents, knowing that I have those two things gave me the confidence to be like, oh, I can take a 6-month contract. Yeah. Because in that 6 months, I will earn what my colleagues are earning for the year, doing the same thing. So even if after the 6 months, I don't get another contract, I still have the savings. I've still earned what my colleagues are earning in a year in 6 months. And then I could just look for another contract. Yeah. I just had this confidence of like, oh, I'll find another contract. And it always worked out. I always found another contract. Yeah.
How did you always find another contract? What was the things that you were doing to
networking?
Yeah.
Like you have to networking. And when I say networking, I'm not even talking about going to conferences and going here and going there. I'm talking about just maybe staying in touch with your ex-colleagues. And that's going to be my number one tip. If you are a contractor, if you want to go into contracting, or if you're already a contractor, you're looking for a next contract, don't sleep on just being in contact with your ex-colleagues, because especially if you know they're also contractors, right? Because what will happen is that they can actually present you with opportunities. And I mentioned the Big Four contract that I had. That was through networking. Literally, how that happened is that I because I'm big on being having good relationships at work, because I just feel like that always helps you moving forward, like staying in touch with my ex-colleagues, make some of my ex-colleagues, just keeping those relationships really good. And then one of my ex-colleagues, we had each other on LinkedIn, so she must have posted something, she got a new job or something, and then I was like, oh, congratulations, this is amazing, just genuinely just congratulating her. I didn't even want anything. And then she was like, oh yeah, by the way, what role are you currently in? I've just left this Big Four company and they're actually taking on more contractors. I was like, oh really? No way. And then she was like, yeah, do you want to ping in your CV? I will send it to the hiring manager, and then she sent it to the hiring manager, and I got that contract.
Wow.
It was that simple, but it was through just building those relationships, maintaining those relationships, networking, and having a network of other contractors around you. That helps a lot. Yeah. And then even just being in contact with recruiters that are that kind of look for contractors. So it's always relationships are so key. I feel like in everything I talk about, relationships. Yeah. Building those relationships from scratch. I didn't have anyone in special places or nepotism or anything like that. It's just a matter of just being having good relationships with people, and then just maintaining those relationships. And when opportunities come up, you if it works, then you might be in luck.
Yeah, it sounds like LinkedIn is the key to that, right? You making sure. And when we talk about LinkedIn, bare people get mad nervous. LinkedIn is not even that complicated. It's not like you didn't do too much. You get what I'm saying? You just what you did which is a normal thing. You saw your one of your ex-colleagues have a promotion or mute a new job, and you congratulated them. That's what you normally do. Yes. You can even message people oh rah, da 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 da, this is you're doing good, da da, what's up, da da da. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Just maintain the relationship. Yeah. When you make those initial connections, maybe you connect with someone on LinkedIn, keep in touch with them. Yeah. It could be something that simple. Maybe write down people's birthdays. I know some people have strategies where they write down people's birthdays. They wish people happy birthday. Just keeping those, just genuinely just being a good, kind, friendly person. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important. So in terms of contracting, what would you say are the benefits contracting provided you with? Obviously.
Yeah. So for me, contracting, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Contracting paid well. Contracting, when you get a good day rate. I don't want to go into the technicalities of inside AER 35 or outside AER 35.
That's another episode.
But especially if you're outside AER 35, which I have been before, then your take home pay can be really good, right? And you can, even though, say for example, you're on a 6-month contract and you are on a day rate of like maybe 400, 500 a day, that could be like a 60, 50K salary. And that's just 6 months.
Yeah.
So imagine if you're on there for like a year, that's like 100 and whatever.
Yeah.
So the money was good for contracting. So for me, it was always like a very good boost in terms of like just making lots of money. And then especially if you get extended, which was usually the case as well, I'd get extended. So I'll be there for like a year or so on that contract. And for me, it was really just financially motivated, you know, and knowing also that, and we're going to talk about the downsides of contracting in a second. But for me, it was just also just knowing that it didn't have to be permanent. Like if I wanted to go back into becoming a permanent employee, I could do that because there are benefits that come with being a permanent employee. I'm not going to say, you know, being permanent is bad. But for me, it was knowing that, you know, I'm quite young and I could change my mind and decide I want to become a permanent employee, and it's fine. But this is the time for me to kind of take risks, explore, save up, right? And I was able to save up a lot of money. Like the contracting really kind of supercharged my savings. So yeah, that's pretty much why I wanted to do contracting. And you can kind of you can be a contractor in like lots of different industries. So you go from company to company, maybe 6 months here, a year here, 18 months here. Some people have done 2 years, some people have done 10 years contracting. Like, but you can kind of go to lots of different industries and it kind of expand your skill set, expand your industry knowledge across multiple industries as well. So that was quite good in terms of being a contractor.
I love that. So I guess my question for you is, why didn't you, because some people will make all this money and just spend it all up, why didn't you do that? Why were you smarter with your money, let's say?
So I think it was you know, I mentioned the overdraft situation after university, leaving university with some debt. That kind of scarred me a little bit because I just hated that feeling of like not being in control of my finances. And I think I'd kind of seen growing up what it's like to struggle with money, and maybe, you know, parents having to do 2 jobs, and it's just such a struggle, you know, like financial struggles can be really, really stressful. They can put strain on relationships. They can put, like, when you're struggling financially, you can put strain on your relationship. It can just limit you in terms of what you can do as well when there's financial strain. So I think I was just really scared of that. Like I didn't want that. So I was like, I started learning early on, started like watching some YouTube videos as well. Read like Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is what everyone says.
Everybody reads that book. I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't read that book, and I've got the book. I haven't read it.
You need to read it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's even better books out there, but it's a classic, isn't it? But I think just learning about, you know, personal finance and knowing that, okay, if you can save, you can invest the money, and then you can buy property, and then you can do this, and then you can. So I was just kind of like, okay, like I was lucky enough to just be someone that was quite inquisitive about finances. So I just thought, I'm just going to save the money because I know for the long term that this is going to benefit me, because then I can invest the money and it can grow. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I want to do that.
I love that. And that's the thing, right? Some people, I feel like they'll get the money. Okay, I'm gonna get the car. I'm gonna move out of parents' house. All of that, but nah, you were like, nah, I'm staying at parents' house, and I'm gonna start saving all of this.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like I was saving a lot.
You're about to say the thing. You're saving a lot. A lot of money.
A lot of money. I was saving, like, even from the 28K salary, I was like, no, I need to just save as much as possible out of this. I don't know. It almost became like this game I was playing of just like, how much money can I save? To the point where I was like, okay, calm down, Kenny.
That is good though. That's a good way to be. I love that.
Yeah, I was just saving. And it wasn't even a thing whereby I was like restricting myself, because I think my 2 priorities at that time, at this point, let's say I was like maybe 22, 23, it was like enjoy and save.
Okay,
like those
so
are my
those are 2 things.
So I actually enjoyed as well. It wasn't like I wasn't going on holiday, but I budgeted for the enjoyment.
Okay.
Right. And I always say that. And people, when I talk about saving, right, people just assume, you were saving, you're not enjoying your life. Nah, you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both. So I would budget for like holidays. I'd still go on holidays with my friends. I'll still go out and stuff. I'll still go to parties. You know, when you're young, you want to enjoy yourself. Yeah. But saving always come first. So as soon as that salary lands, I'm putting a portion aside and I'm saving that, because I know that, okay, that's going to go into buying my first property. Okay, that's going to go into stocks and share. That's going to go into my stocks and share ISA. Yeah. So yeah, it was really important to me that I was kind of saving. But what comes with that is that something has got to give. So for me, the sacrifice I had to make was living at home. It would have been way more fun, way more better for me to not live at home. But I was like, I'm going to live at home because that's the sacrifice I'm going to make. Yeah. And then also just certain things that I would like not buy. I wasn't buying as much clothes and stuff. So it's almost like you have to prioritize what's important to you right now, right? And for me, those two things were enjoyment because I'm young and saving for my future.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any more tips for people in terms of savings if they're thinking right now? Yeah, because I want to, it's quite cool like that you were able to do that, right? Focus, right? Especially like, again, like I said, a lot of people will live at home and instead of like planning for their future, it's like, I'm just going to spunk everything I've got now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very interested to hear like how you like managed to do that switch basically.
Yeah, it's as in the switch from like just not like to saving money. Like
yeah. Like the tips that you did to get you to keep you focused on doing that.
Yeah. I think it was just literally just like as soon as my money came in, I was in my head. It was like half of that money is not mine.
Yeah,
it belongs to my savings account. It belongs to my future. It belongs to this money belongs to future Kenny. Like future Kenny is what this money belongs to. And then I just put that aside and I was very disciplined. Like if there was ever a time where I needed to touch that money, I'm paying it back in. I was very disciplined. Like I had to build up that discipline to like, I didn't want to see that money decrease. I just wanted to see it grow. And to me, it's like that money needs to keep growing because it's like almost like I'm buying my future freedom. The way I saw it is like I'm buying my future freedom with that money. So that's really important to me. So I'm going to save that money and also keeping my expenses low. That was very key because I think a lot of people, like whoever's watching this, if you kind of assess like where your money is going, big fat chunks of it are probably going towards like living costs, driving, transport, food, right? Those are like the basic things that, the big chunk of our money goes towards, even me till today, right? And for me, it was like, okay, what are ways to cut down on all those things, right, that I've just listed? Because that's where majority of all our money go because we need to survive, right? So for me, it was like, I'm going to keep my expenses low by not moving out because I could have moved out. My workplace, and this was the day of like 5 days in the office, physically, no remote working at this point. And I would have to travel 2 hours each way to get to work.
Wow, that's insane.
So that was another sacrifice I had to make. So I literally was driving, and luckily I had like a driving buddy who would like switch once in a while because we used to work in the same place. We lived near each other.
Wow.
But yeah, instead of moving to Guildford in Surrey, I would drive every day, and then sometimes traffic on the way back would be like 3 hours. Did that for almost 2 years. Because for me, it was like, that made a lot more sense than like renting out, paying £1,000 to rent near work. But that's like what I was willing to do because for me, that future Kenny's comfort was way more important than my comfort right now when it's not that deep to me. Like it just, for me, it wasn't serious enough for me to move out. But the thing is like everyone's situation is going to be so different. Like there's people that are going to be watching this. Maybe they can't live at home with their parents, everyone's situation is so different, which I sympathize with. But like my situation was that there were certain sacrifices I was willing to make for that season that I don't have to make anymore because now I've moved out, but it was for a season. So just understand that, okay, this is for that season. Right, and then knowing that things will change eventually, and your future self will thank you massively. And we're gonna go into like what my future self is doing now and how that's helping me now as like someone in their late 20s. But those decisions, I have zero regrets for making those sacrifices. I
love that. So let's talk about like high income skills, right? So obviously you talked about some of the benefits, right? So talk about how you can utilize a high income to better your life.
Yeah. I feel like for a lot of people, right? A lot of people, for the majority of people in the UK, right? A lot of us weren't born into wealth. We weren't born into any kind of privilege. It's just like, do you know what? This is what you've got. Build. Like start from scratch, right? A lot of us are starting from scratch. I'm starting from scratch. There's no inheritance waiting for me anywhere. Well, actually, I hope, mum and dad, I don't know if you're listening. I hope you've got something planned, but not that I know of. But like we're building from scratch, right? And for me, the first step of starting to build any kind of wealth or any kind of financial freedom for yourself, financial independence, is your skill. You have to earn the money, right? And for me, it's like when you learn a high income skill, you're giving yourself the best chance at earning a good income. So for me, it's like the very basic of like building wealth. Learn a high income skill. And when I say high income skill, I mean like skills that are in demand, right? So typically it's like supply and demand, isn't it, when it comes to skills? So it's like the perfect kind of situation is a skill is in high demand, but there isn't enough supply of people with that skill. That's like perfect because that way businesses are willing to pay more to get that skill because it's really, really important, but there's not enough people to do it, right? So those are the kind of skills you want to kind of focus on. And if you're already in a field, And then if you're already in like your field, right, you can kind of look at ways to maybe add that onto your skill set to make you more specialist. Like, so add those in-demand skills to your current skill set, like skill stack, to make yourself more valuable, basically. So it's just a way of like making yourself more valuable. Like high income skills make you more valuable and make you more valuable in the marketplace, and eventually you earn more money, and then you can start building wealth that way.
And that's what that's your aim. Talk to us about that, because obviously you said that like now future Kenny, which is now present, has benefit from obviously the sacrifices that you made, obviously making a higher income. Talk about how you've done that and where you are now.
So in terms of like high income, or
both.
So I feel like, so the high income skill at the time that I gained was like an compliance analyst, like a compliance analyst skill. At the time, the compliance industry isn't really what it used to be anymore, I don't think. But when I kind of got into it, it was quite good. I feel it was quite a high value skill, because lots of companies, because the FCA is not actually that old. Like basically the FCA is the regulator. The FCA is basically the regulator. So they're not actually that old. They're quite recent, right? So things started to become quite heavily regulated, and companies needed compliance. Like a lot of companies that are regulated need compliance professionals. So it was kind of like an in-demand skill, even though I kind of fell into it, but it just turned out to be an in-demand skill, like a high income skill. So which is why I was able to command like quite good day rates as a contractor, as a compliance professional. And that again started off that trajectory of like being able to earn a high income, keep my expenses low, save and invest. So those are like my steps. So high income, keep expenses low, save and invest. That's like, for me, that's like the formula to like gaining your financial freedom and building up, your finances. So for me, it was compliance. That was actually my high income skill at the time, but I think things are changing a lot more now, and we're going to go into like tech, and even I ended up in like fintech and things like that. So and in terms of you asked about how that's benefiting me now. Essentially, it just means that, so I don't think we've spoken about my career break. So I am currently on a career break, and I feel like having the savings that I've gained from my high income skill and my high income kind of career as a contractor gave me the option to do that, the freedom to actually just take like a year of work. Like I could take off 2 years off work if I wanted to, because I've got the savings. My expenses are covered.
Crazy. 2 years, 2 years free. Mad.
Like, and that's why I was. And that's what I meant by future Kenny will. Like future Kenny thanks younger Kenny all the time. I'm like, I'm glad I make those sacrifices.
That's crazy.
Like there's a lot of things that I can kind of do now. Like I don't really have to worry so much about money, because it compounded. Like the savings, the sacrifices are all kind of added up and compounded. And now I kind of have that. I'm not financially free just yet, but obviously working towards that. But I'm definitely like financially stable. To the point where like I can afford that freedom, and I can kind of explore other things. So it's kind of like buying your time back. Like your finances can buy your time. Oh, let me put my phone away because it's ringing.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Sorry. But your finances can actually buy you your time back. So and that's a luxury. That's a huge luxury. So those are the kind of things where future Kenny's thankful now. And I bought my property as well. I was able to do that when I was 26. I'm in the process of like working on my second property project right now. So those are the kind of things that being strategic about your finances and being willing to make certain sacrifices when you're a bit younger can do for you when you're older.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about these high income skills, because I know people are gonna want to know. So obviously you mentioned a little bit about fintech. You're kind of like you got into that world and you had a bit of experience. And I know the tech sector is very, very popular at the moment. So are you able to give us like 5 high income roles or skills, not in the tech sector, that have the potential to earn somebody a higher than average income? So obviously in that 6-figure-ish mark.
So I think like so some skills at the moment that are quite like in demand are things like digital marketing. So lots of people are like doing digital marketing, lots of freelance digital marketers. We all know that online right now is, it's where it's at. Social media is where it's at. So digital marketing is actually a high income skill at the moment. Even something like project management as well. And even project management is can be applied to tech as well, but it can also be applied outside of the tech industry. Project management is a high income skill. Lots of project management roles around, and companies are always requiring project managers essentially. What other skill? Content creation. Content creation. Let's not sleep on content creation as a high income skill, right? Content creation can be a life-changing skill skill once you master it, and also just social media marketing.
Yeah.
So just that whole kind of online space is really kind of high income, high value at the moment. I actually made a couple more bullet points on those. I don't want to miss out anything. And even things like video editing.
Yeah.
Video editing, if you can become like a good video editor, you'll find yourself, making 6 figures quite easily.
Yeah.
To be honest, like if you can become a very good video editor, market yourself well, get yourself out there, like everyone's trying to jump on social media. Lots of people need editors, right? Companies need editors, individuals need editors, businesses need editors. So that's really booming in high demand at the moment. And even like a skill like sales.
Yeah.
Sales is like kind of like a skill that if you can master sales, which is essentially you being able to sell things to people easily, that's always going to be in demand. That's always in every single industry. Sales is such a high income, high value skill.
Yeah.
Especially if you can find yourself in the right industry. Like I know Tech Corner, Hosanna, Tech Corner on Instagram and TikTok. She's into tech sales actually.
Okay.
So we're kind of like edging into tech again, but she's in sales, and she's on 6 figures, and she's quite vocal about that online. So yeah, sales is a great skill for anyone to master if you can.
Yeah,
basically.
And that's the thing. It's like what I guess the important message that we're trying to get to people is that these 6 figures salaries are doable. You just need to find the high income skill.
Yeah, because lots of people actually think that people aren't earning 6 figures, and lots of people think, oh, it's all a lie. Oh, this is impossible. Or what are you talking about? Listen, people are earning 6 figures.
Yeah,
lots of people are earning 6 figures, but it's just about being strategic, putting yourself, like getting the right skills and experience as well. Experience helps. The more experience you have, the more you're also likely. Like I said, it didn't happen overnight for someone like me, for example.
Yeah.
And for some people it did, but for me it didn't happen overnight. So it's possible. It's very possible. These 6 figure, these high income skills are very attainable. Like I said earlier, you can learn any skill. Anything is learnable.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think so. Yeah, like you said, you learned to be one of the best interviewers. Look at that, right? That was through trial and error. So on the other hand, what about tech? Like, what are like 5 high income tech skills that people can like look at?
Yeah. So if you like cybersecurity, cybersecurity 2024, right? STEM Babe talks about it. She's also a content creator. She's a cybersecurity professional. Cybersecurity this year, high income skill.
I would not be surprised by that. Yeah, because we're gonna need more and more.
100%. With the rise of AI, with the rise of the online space, people with other different types of intentions to attack, companies online and things like that.
for real. Especially with all like these cyber wars that we're having right now, it's a little bit mad. They say with AI, and obviously they could use AI for like,
It's mad. It's crazy. Malicious stuff. Yeah.
Stuff,
So cybersecurity. There's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
On the topic of AI and machine learning. We all know AI is on the rise. AI has been on the rise for a while, actually.
Yeah.
It only became like kind of more public because of ChatGPT, but it's still very much the future.
Yeah.
And I think there was I was doing some research into it the other day, and like there was like a 500% hike in roles with the AI in it. Or something. Like there's lots of demand on Indeed. Yeah, It was like the CEO of Indeed was doing an interview, and there's a lot. AI is booming at the moment.
Wow.
So it's definitely a skill that's worthwhile kind of learning. And there's also like agile. So if you can learn, so lots of companies are kind of trying to be more agile, like tech companies, right? So roles within the agile kind of framework, like Scrum Masters, business analysis, like these roles are in high demand. Like even like business analysis, some people kind of argue that, is it getting kind of saturated?
Yeah.
Go online and just type in business analyst jobs and see how many jobs are being put online. There's so many jobs. And I know you can go on LinkedIn and, you see that, they posted a role and there's lots of applications. Don't let that put you off, because half of those people, they're probably not even business analysts.
Bro, probably not.
Go on the UK government website and you'll see that business analysis is what's it called? It's on the skills shortage list.
Yeah.
So these skills,
Is it?
yeah, it's on the skills shortage, like till today. If you go on there now, it should still be
That's incredible. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's on the skills shortage list.
Wow.
And there's lots of roles, always roles coming up and up.
That's
so
insane.
things like Scrum Master, BA, kind of agile product management within the agile kind of framework, and then data science as well, and like kind of data engineering. Data is king. Like, need I say more?
Yeah.
So those are high kind of value skills. Cloud computing, kind of AWS, everything. Companies are trying to like be more cloud based and things like that. So those are like really good current high income skills in tech to kind of be on the lookout for, to be honest.
Wow, that's a lot. And I can definitely attest to the fact, obviously business analysis, I know that because some of my career has been in that. It's always hot. It's like it will never really die, unless we get some really super intelligent AI.
Yeah, to replace it.
Yeah.
But you can say that about so many.
Every role at that point, right? Like,
yeah,
it's mad. So obviously, working in the fintech, I guess, what did you learn about working, obviously fintech is, tech sector. What did you learn about your time?
So my most recent role before I took my career break was in a global fintech company. And it was interesting because I think that was kind of my first time of being in a kind of tech environment, right? And it was definitely different from financial services. I think what I noticed was that I heard about all these different roles. I'm a compliance professional, and I've heard about all these different roles, like product management, Scrum Master, BA, project, but I never really worked with them within financial services. And then I moved into tech, and there was lots of what I noticed. The first thing I noticed is that there's so much like collaboration. With like people.
We love it.
I love a good collaboration. So there was lots of collaboration, and I was able to kind of get lots of exposure to like what lots of other people kind of do within the tech space. So this is more like on a day-to-day basis within the company I was working for. So lots of collaboration between lots and lots of department. And I noticed as well that companies are trying to there's a lot of innovation. I think there's a lot more innovation within tech companies, and a lot more like they're more keen on like fresh ideas because it's such a fast growing, rapidly growing kind of industry. So there's a lot more focus on like, fresh ideas, new ideas, as opposed to like financial services where I was before, where things are kind of like, established and you're just going along with it.
It's a bit like all the red tape and all of that.
Yeah,
sort of
just
stuff,
going along with it. But tech is more like they're more welcoming of like innovation and change. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I noticed the most about being in a kind of tech environment.
I love that. So one thing that I really appreciate, and I don't think enough people think about this, and this is a message that I definitely, wanted to touch on the podcast, right? So something that I saw, I think it was one of your posts on Instagram, right?
Okay.
And you were talking about, for you, it's not about going up the career ladder, right? But for you want to make as much income as possible, right? So talk to me about your thinking around that. How did you like come up? How did you get to that decision of like, I'm not going up the career ladder, I just want to make as much money as possible?
Interesting. I think it's for me, it's very much linked to my end goal when it comes to corporate. I think it's very important to know like what your end goal is for your career. Like, okay, we're all going to work, it's kind of like what you do, isn't it? You graduate uni, you get a job, you go to the job, you climb up the career ladder, you try and become a director, CEO, whatever. But I think for me, I kind of took the time to really reflect on that journey and be like, okay, do this, CEO, director. And I'm like, wait, hang on, is that what I really want though? And the answer was no. Because when I look at the kind of life that, these people on the top of the corporate food chain are living, I'm like, but that's not really what I'm aspiring to though. Like, that's not really what I want for myself. And for me, it's all about kind of like being intentional about like lifestyle design and how you are kind of planning for your future and what kind of future you want for yourself. So for me, that future doesn't look like working a 9-to-5 job until I'm 75. What's the new retirement age? Like 100 these days. Like, what?
We saying 100? Yeah, maybe. No. I think it's like, what is it? 68, 69? 68, I think 68, 69.
Yeah. And then but I think it's set to increase to 71 or something. There was speculation in the media about that recently. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I think there was some speculation around that. But anyway, even 68, let's go with 68, right? Which is what we know for a fact. For me, I just don't see myself doing that. I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job until I'm 68 and then retire and then try and travel the world. Like, that's not really the type of life that I want for myself. So for me, it's like, okay, if I did the whole climb up the corporate ladder thing, that's basically my path. And it's like, I don't want that. I want to retire much earlier. I want to be able to retire much earlier, because a lot of people don't actually know that you can choose when you retire. You know, like you don't have to go with the government's retirement age. You can actually, if you had the funds to retire next week, you could.
Yeah,
because you have the funds, because we work to pay the bills, right? We work for money. If you had the money by next week, you can retire. So you can actually choose your retirement age. You can choose when you want to retire and kind of work backwards with that and be like, okay, what's my plan for this? And really and truly, the ways to retire early, there's even like a terminology I saw on TikTok for it. It's like financial independence, retire early, like FIRE. I don't know if you've seen that. But so it's about like designing the kind of your end goal, knowing your end goal, and then working towards that. So you're going to need financial independence. So I think financial independence is basically a point where like your assets, the money that's being paid to you by your assets can cover your expenses. So technically you don't need to work, because the money that your assets are paying you, so that could be like property or whatever you're investing in, stocks and share, whatever, are basically covering your expenses. So technically you're fine. You don't need to work and you can actually retire. That's where you get to the point of actually being able to retire. So for me, that looks like, again, it's back to the high income skills. High income skills, saving, investing in money making assets, like assets that can pay for your lifestyle and cover your expenses. And then you can actually get to the point where you can retire. And within that, some people, start a business, right? You can start a business, and then maybe that could become the thing that maybe you sell on, and then that becomes your retirement fund or whatever. But I think my core thing is that there are options, that we have options. You can actually, we live in a day and age where you can actually design your lifestyle. You just have to be very strategic and intentional.
Yeah. Very important.
And it doesn't have to look like climbing up the corporate ladder.
Yeah. It could look like what you want. And I think people need to think about what they want.
Yes.
It's not about, let's just do what was told to me.
Yeah, be on autopilot.
Exactly. We're just too much on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like you said, you realize actually CEO life, nah, I don't want to do that. That's not about that. Some people might want to do that, and that's okay. But it's about importance of what is it that you want.
It's about choice.
Yeah.
It's about choice and taking control of that choice, and actually being intentional about working towards that end goal that you know you want for yourself. Yeah. So that's why investing becomes so important, because that whole equation doesn't work if you're not investing in something. Whether that's yourself, whether that's investing in property, investing in the stock market, investing in a business, you have to invest. Yeah. And that's where everyone's chatting about investing. But it's really important if that's your end goal to kind of retire early, have financial freedom, financial independence, which a lot of people, when I talk about like financial freedom, it's become this like buzzword on social media that's a bit like, oh, financial freedom, okay, whatever. But really and truly, like, it's true. Like, there's a lot of freedom that can come with like strategically planning your finances. Yeah.
I I completely agree. It's super, super important. You have to plan it to get there. You're not going to get there back. So then otherwise you might be retiring at 71. So you have a view of multiple streams of income. You've got your view on it, right? So I guess for you, right, I think you mentioned a little bit at you're a business owner, property. I guess, how did you build your multiple streams of income, and was that an intentional thing that you wanted to do?
Was that intentional? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always, do you know what? I've always had multiple streams of income when I think about it, because I remember if we rewind back to university, I was actually doing people's hair. So I'll do people's weaves and stuff like that. And then I would also have like a waitressing job that I was doing. So
right, okay.
I was kind of used to, like, there was a comfort for me in knowing that I wasn't relying on one source of income from quite a young age.
Okay.
So at this point I was like, I started doing people's hair from when I was like 16 years old. So I'd like go around, do people's weaves, little £30, £40 there. And then I would have multiple jobs. And then that's something I think I've carried on into my adult life as well. But when it comes to the more recent and more serious multiple streams of income, it started from content creation, really. Okay. So basically deciding that, okay, cool. I feel like I'm very confident in my 9-to-5 career. Like, I had the contract job, I was earning good. But I was like, I think I can do more. Like, I have some capacity outside of work to do more. Like, I'd moved out of my parents' house. I feel like I had more time. So I started kind of taking content creation a bit seriously. And funny enough, I didn't even start content creation with the intention of like, I'm going to make money. I just kind of started out like, I feel like I have a lot to share. So I'm going to share it and go online, share it and see what happens. Yeah. Because I'm always the friend that's always like, helping out this friend, that friend's advice, and just always talking about some sort of personal development stuff. I was like, I need to go and tell people that actually care for this and not bombard my friends with all this info. So I started creating content online, started sharing that information. And of course, eventually, as we all know, when you build enough of an audience, especially around like a specific topic, you start to generate some income from that. Yeah. So for me, it was like that income from content creation that was coming out of that, and then my 9 to 5 income. So that became like multiple streams of income. And then even within content creation, there were multiple streams from that. So it was like, you know, brand deals. Now I was starting to work with brands that I felt aligned with what I was telling my audience. And then I started doing like some speaking engagements here and there, got paid for that. I did like a webinar, I did an event, got paid for that. So now within content creation, and I think that's the beauty of it, you can actually diversify your income even within that. So that's essentially my multiple streams of income. And then finally, my property. So I mentioned that I bought a property, right? So I rented out a room.
Okay.
I rented out the spare room. So that was also bringing in some income as well. So multiple streams basically.
Yeah. How do you feel that that's helped you? Because obviously you couple that with the fact that you saved bears.
Yeah.
You know, and you were smart with your money. How's that combination like helped you?
A lot. And I think that's what gave me, and I think the fact that I had multiple streams of income as alongside savings and an investment in a property, that gave me the confidence to be like, do you know what, I can step away from corporate for a bit. Like I can take a break for a year and explore lots of different things that I'm currently doing. So it's just that freedom, you know, it just buys you back that freedom, and it just means that you're more flexible and you have options and you're not tied to one thing. And say, for example, you get, I don't know, laid off, you know, that's happened to people. You have something else to fall back on. So I'm actually a massive advocate for diversifying your income, like not just relying on your employer and just a company to pay your bills and your whole livelihood is dependent on that. That's crazy to me. Like, I feel like you need more than just that one job. Yeah. Like, you need to diversify your income. And I'm not saying you need 7 streams of income, which everyone likes to shout about on socials. Just something else, just one other thing outside of your 9 to 5.
2 is fine.
2 is fine, minimum.
Yeah.
Like 2 is fine. I think 2 is even optimum if you can, because I think when you start to go beyond 2, sometimes you start to spread yourself thin, and there's limitations with that. So always like advocate for that. Yeah,
because you had strong opinions on that, like the 7 incomes. You're not a fan of, like, you're like, nah, you don't need to be doing 7 streams of income.
No, because people, like, I noticed that people were starting to kind of feel like they had to be doing this and they had to be doing that, and you know, taking pride in like being this jack of all trades. But really and truly, most people that were bragging about, not necessarily bragging, just talking about having all these streams of income, when you really look at it closely, none of the things all the things you've got your fingers in are really working out that well. So it's like you're doing all these 7 things to a very average standard, to the point where you don't really give anything enough focus for it to really like take off or do really well. Because as we all know, focus is key, right? With anything you're doing, anything you want to kind of excel at, you need to focus on it. But if you're focusing on 10 streams of income, everything's going to remain quite average, isn't it? Yeah. So that's my thing. So I think it's important to, yes, you know, when you see the content on social media, and I've used the title before, I'm not going to lie and say I haven't used the title of the video. Here's how I earn my 5 streams of income, because it just sounds good. It sounds sick. It makes I can't lie. For a good title, right? But don't read into that too much and think that you have to match that and now start doing 5 streams of income. Yeah. When really and truly, you could actually just do one thing outside your 9 to 5 and do that thing really well. Then eventually that could even take over your 9 to 5. Yeah. But for that to happen, you need focus. Yeah. That's my opinion on it. Yeah. I agree. And I feel quite strongly on it as well.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I could tell. I saw your video, passion with the vim. Yeah. Mad. Okay, so let's talk about some general career advice before we obviously talk about, like, you know, how you kind of help people. Yeah. So obviously, you know, people be listening to this thinking, I want to get into contracting, Kenny, right? So I guess, and it's going to be mad competitive right now. We know the market's crazy, but it's going to be even more competitive because people want to chase the bag, right? Yeah. So I guess, what tips do you have for someone to set themselves apart from the crowd when it comes to applying for contracting or even permanent roles right now?
Yeah. I think to stand out from the crowd, definitely be more strategic in terms of your applications, because you know, you go on LinkedIn and there's a job vacancy, right? And you see 300 people have applied to this job within the last one day. So lots and lots of applications, but a lot of those applications aren't like tailored application. It's like you're just using your generic CV and you're just blasting it out there, hoping that it will stick. And in some instances it might, but that's purely like a numbers game, isn't it? So I feel like in this market, it's important to be a bit more tailored, a bit more intentional, a bit more like potentially even going as far as tailoring your CV to that company and tailoring it to not just to that job role, to that job role, but also that company, to let them know that you want them, right? Because people aren't really doing that. Like, say, for example, you want to work for, I don't know, Microsoft. I know that's just a random name to think of.
Yeah.
Tailor that CV to the Microsoft job that you're going for, right? And then try and find the hiring manager, try and find like a person, someone behind that role, and connect with them in some way, whether that's on LinkedIn. You can go on, like, if it's a recruitment agency, you can try and find the recruiter behind that post of that role, maybe try and get on the phone to them. And these are things that I've done myself that have actually been effective. So like, try and talk to someone, try and get in front of the decision maker somehow if you can, right? Think outside of the box, but LinkedIn is a good start. Finding phone numbers for third-party recruiters online, like Googling the name of the recruiter or the recruitment company and trying to find the recruiter behind it and maybe giving them a call. Like, I've done that a lot of times, and it's actually, I've secured interviews through that, just calling up the recruiter and being like, I came across this role online. I saw it's a really good fit, because the recruiters, at the end of the day, they are trying to find the right candidate. So if you can present yourself well enough and convince them that you're the right candidate, they'll jump at it, because you're saving them time of like scouting the internet. So if you can just be a bit more like proactive in that sense and actually getting yourself in front of people, I think that will help you stand out in this market. But I understand how difficult the market is right now, but I think this market is about being personable and like humanizing yourself, and not just adding your CV to the pile. Like, yes, let your CV be on the pile, but also find a way to like let them know who you are. Like, use your LinkedIn and maybe your personal brand a little bit. Like, maybe start posting on LinkedIn a little bit to increase your visibility. I feel like in this market, it's important to just go that extra mile, which I know is not ideal. I know people don't want to hear that, but you need to kind of go the extra mile a little bit and maybe make a bit more of an effort to network and make a bit more of an effort to ask for referrals, and try and maybe get some help, like maybe work with a coach or something to kind of try and find the blind spots that you just you might not see yourself, and you need a second pair of eyes to see. So that's what I would say. And especially when it comes to contracting, the networking piece, when it comes to, we've spoken about that already. Like, in terms of contracting, I think just keeping that network of contractors around you is very important.
Yeah, I love that. And what would you say, what 3 insights do you think you picked up in your career that has enabled you to increase your income rapidly?
Okay, so 3 insights. Number 1, I think negotiating. Right? So I negotiate every job offer. Like, I'll always try and negotiate every job offer that I get, but I also make sure I have like a good basis behind that, done my research, all the things. Making bold moves, because I think taking that more senior role from, I mentioned very early on in my career, I moved from like quite a junior role and I took on that senior role, and just being able to take that bold step really propelled me, because now I had like the senior role on my CV. And in fact, months into the role, or weeks into that role, I ended up becoming the MLRO, which is like a money laundering reporting officer.
Oh wow,
which is basically
big.
Do you know what an MLRO? Yeah. And I was 23, and it was a startup company, to be fair, but still that was on my CV now. So that basically just made me appear more senior than I was, and that kind of propelled me and helped me out moving forward. So taking bold steps is my point when it comes to that. And then also contracting, actually just considering and just taking a little bit of being a bit risky, right? Just being open to kind of a little bit of risk has helped me personally. But that's my personality. It's not for everyone, and I get that. But if you have that pattern personality where you're a bit entrepreneurial, and you have a bit of backing, and you can afford to take some risk, and you're young, take it.
Yeah, I love that. And especially the fact that you took those opportunities. MLRO, I remember when I was working at KPMG, I remember, I'm pretty sure it was there, you had to do the trainings, and they would always, I think on some of the videos, they would present themselves, and I'm like, wow, this person's really high up. Like, do you know what I mean? Even if it's a startup, it doesn't matter, right? It's still, you're still pretty much, it's even more impressive because you're having to build a lot of that up from scratch. You know what I mean? So wow, that's a lot of
self-learning in that role. I had to start going online.
You learn a lot,
things, like, oh, what's that? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you have to, I think we all do that in our careers, right? Like, what is that? Like, let's Google, okay, how do you do that?
Yeah.
But I mean, you managed to smash it, right? Like,
somehow.
Yeah. So if you were to start your career again, right, today, what are the 3 things you wish you'd known at the start of your career?
So I'd say the first thing that I wish I knew was that corporate is a game. Like, the corporate world is basically like a game, right? And you basically have to learn to play it. because I kind of went into the corporate world all like willy-nilly, just super like not really caring about how I came across, just like doing whatever, just like being so chill and like not really caring, right? But I learned very quickly that, oh, this is a game. People are watching, and you need to kind of present yourself how you want to be seen, how you want to come across. Like, you have to be quite deliberate about that. And it's a game. Like, people are playing games, so you have to be. And I'm not saying you have to get involved in the game necessarily, but be aware that it's a game, and be aware that people are playing games, and just know where you fit in within that, and if you want to play the game or not. But it's a game, and games are being played around you, whether you know it or not.
100%.
There's politics, there's things, and just kind of be aware of like where you fit in around that. So that's something I wish I knew like right from the start, because I didn't at all. I was quite blind to that. And then relationships as well. Like, I wish I understood the importance of relationships a bit earlier as well. Just like how important, like, the relationship you have at work and outside of work, but professional relationships can kind of make or break you, Like I said, I've had roles where I've gotten roles because of good relationships that I had with people. But then there's instances where people can sabotage you at work because you have a bad relationship with the wrong person, or like having a bad relationship with a decision maker. So I think it's important to just understand that relationships can impact your career quite heavily. So invest in them.
Yeah.
Go to the work drinks, sis. Go to the work drinks.
You advise that?
Sis, go to the work drinks.
Wow.
You don't have to go to every single work drink.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to be there every night drinking, going to the work drinks, but go to don't be that person that never shows up to the work drinks, because visibility is key. Visibility is so important. So if you're going to be there and you want something out of this role, you want to get promoted, or you want this, you want that, then you need to be visible. That's really important. So go to the work drinks. I would actually advise you to go to those work drinks.
Them dead work drinks, man. No, because you go to it and you're like, I don't even want to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't even want to be here.
Yeah.
Like I think when you're young, it's fun. Like initially, because you're like, right, what is this?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you are 5 years, 10 years into your career, you're like, I don't want to be here.
You're like, I don't
want
want
to
to
do this,
drinks. I
man.
want to go home, man.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I actually fully get that.
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially when you're young, like you basically have no excuse not to go to the work drinks.
Yeah.
Like, even if you go there, if you're not a drinker, just drink some soda or Coke or whatever. I just think my point is, right, whatever it is that people at work do to socialize, that's networking.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be left out on that, basically. That's my point. It doesn't have to be work drinks. It can be whatever, work socials, work pizza, work Nando's. Just make sure you're not completely missing in those situations. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Because relationships are key.
Yeah. I agree. I think relationships are definitely key. And the work drinks, obviously I'm saying what I'm saying. Some people might love it. I don't know how people have energy for that. Especially summer, like you just see people go Canary Wharf, even like, where was I walking the other day? I think it was either London Bridge or somewhere recently. A little hint of sun. Everybody's excited.
Wow.
Everywhere. I'm like, rock.
You're like, relax.
Just
man.
relax.
Everyone
like,
gets so excited with the tiniest bit of sun.
Crazy excited. Okay, so obviously you help people, right, with their careers, right?
Sorry, Ate, I just want to backtrack really quickly on that. And also, you need to learn how to sell yourself.
Okay.
Right? Like, when you go to an interview, what you are doing is selling yourself, right? So I wish I kind of understood the importance of actually selling yourself in interviews, because just realize that when you go to interviews, you need to know how to sell yourself. You need to know how to sell your skills, because what you are essentially in the corporate world, you're kind of like a commodity, and you have to convince these strangers of your worth and all your skills and why they should pay you all this money to come and do the job so you can get paid, right? So learn the art of selling yourself, which is basically like get good at interviews. And sometimes in instances where maybe you might not necessarily be looking for a job, sometimes still take interviews here and there just to brush up your interview skills and keep up with those interviewing skills, because that's how you get good at interviews. The more of them you do, the better you get. You get to learn about people, you get to learn about how people are responding to you, the feedback is helpful. So just learn how to sell yourself. Yeah. I love that. Epic feedback. And obviously you help people, right? Yes. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about how you help people, obviously, with their career? Yeah. So I do like one-to-one career mentoring. I'm big on community. I'm big on like mentoring, and I know that's changed my life. So that's something I offer to people as well. Like, I offer it to loved ones, but I also offer it to people that follow me, people that like are interested in working with me one-to-one. So that's something I offer. It's in the link in my bio in all of my platforms. So you can find it on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok at Kennie Bukky. So yeah, one-to-one sessions. I also have a community actually, a free to join community for aspiring business analysts and Scrum Masters.
Wow.
Called the Pivot Plays. So it's literally free to join. We have like a Slack channel where people like chat and talk about, you know, I've got this job interview, or do you have any tips, blah blah blah. So that's like a free, and we have like webinars. We bring on like business analysts. You're next. I'm joking.
Yeah. You're gonna bring me on the next? Nah, I'll support it. I'm always here for the people. I'm always here to support people. Like obviously, I told you offline that I mentor people at my old uni. So obviously, I don't say it widely, but I'm always like I'm really for that. Do you get what I mean?
That.
Giving back, I think
it's so important.
Quite important. So
important. So we bring on experts, but it's basically a free community. But then also part of the community, we have a boot camp as well, where we literally, so the people that are ready to become business analysts and Scrum Masters, we take them through a 13-week program plus an internship at the end, and we basically hold their hands through like the knowledge, the theory, interview prep, LinkedIn prep, CV revamps, like career mapping sessions to like kind of map out what they want to do, job search support, and we basically help them to go from someone that knows nothing about tech. Like you can be someone that knows nothing about tech, but you want to get a non-coding job within tech, and we help them through that whole process and see them through to like actually being able to apply for jobs and confidently interview for Scrum Master and business analyst roles.
That's amazing. And those are high, like you said, high income skills.
High income skills.
That's what we love.
Because that's the
helping
basics.
the people.
It's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's like it's the foundation. So I'm super, super big on that. So that's what the business is about. We have digital products as well. And I actually did a masterclass about contracting last year, which was a huge success. Like the feedback was
people would have loved that.
Like literally had like other contractors. I had contractors who were like way ahead of me in the game, contracting for 10 years plus.
Wow.
Retired, like being able to retire early from contracting. Wow. So you see, like I spoke about the whole like retirement early. Like I know people that have done this. Like this guy's like, I'm not going to say his age, but he's nowhere near like 50 or anything, but he's in a position to just retire himself and his wife. Like, through contracting.
That's crazy.
Brought on like another contractor friend, and we had an event, and I brought on Benedicta actually, the accountant, and she was on the masterclass as well.
Benedicta, friend of the podcast. Yeah.
And so she was on that masterclass as well. Wow. And that was last year, but the recording is actually now available to purchase. Okay. So it's a few hours.
I like that.
Yeah. Wow. So you can actually watch all of that, and it was so insightful. So that's link in my bio as well. It's quite inexpensive, and it's worth every penny. Like people said that was worth thousands, but I'm like, okay, calm.
Yeah,
calm
no,
don't
but these are secrets though, because I didn't know about this until you told me. There's some things that people don't know about that's possible. Yeah, that's wild. Like it's crazy. So something like that is so valuable. Yeah, and even like the fact that you're helping people go from like becoming. To be honest, I became a business analyst by accident. Right, I was quite fortunate.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know what Scrum Master was at that time. I wish at that time I had a community that could have been like, Ato, you know what, do this. And then, because I did contracting, my first role was contracting, but I didn't continue it.
Okay, why?
I just took the perm. I actually had an opportunity. I just took the perm. That's just what, But if I had somebody there saying, Ato, you know what, this is how you could do this, you could level up like this, it might have been different. You know what I mean? Not that I've got no regrets. I'm just saying that it's great to have a community, 100%. Where people can like leverage, and they can kind of, so we'll definitely put the this link in the description so people can obviously access it, check it out. If people obviously want to connect with you, where can they find you?
I'm on socials, guys. I'm on TikTok. That's my main platform, always there talking about something, trying to add value as much as possible, at Kennie Bukky. So it's KENNIE BUKKY. I
you don't know
spell my own name, but it's not Kennie Bukky, it's Kennie Bukky.
Yeah.
And that's my app everywhere. So you can find me Kennie Bukky on LinkedIn, on Instagram as well. And I've got a newsletter actually. So link in my bio again. If you go in there, you'll see a newsletter that I send out every week as well. So that's where you can find me, guys.
Amazing. No, Kennie, it's been such a great conversation. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through your journey. Thank you so much for even just like you're like, what you've done is hella smart, and I love this is why I like having conversations with people like you, because like you show people that there's another way to do things, there's another way to achieve things, and you've done it in such a short space of time. 5 years is not long. Do you know what I mean? To be able to be like, oh yeah, okay, I can do whatever I need to do for 2 years. I can take a 2-year break. And a lot of people, we don't have that luxury. A lot of people don't have that luxury to be able to do that. And it's because you were intentional with doing that. So yeah, it's been amazing. And thanks so much for, talking about obviously like the highs and lows of obviously the careers too, because like you said, it was tough, right? Like the interviews, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But you've shown us that you can overcome that and people can overcome that. So hopefully anybody that's listening can take, a sense of inspiration from you, that obviously if they're right now, like we're saying, the market's tough, but that they can turn it around,
100%.
If they're intentional about it. So
you have to persevere.
Yeah.
Persevere through the rejections.
Yeah.
Like, don't let those rejections stop you. Because I have people DM me a lot about, but I keep getting rejected, and I've been there.
Yeah.
There was a time where I was just getting rejected after rejection after rejection. 4th stage interview, rejection. There's one time I even cried, but that's a different story for another day. But basically, I guess my final message would just be like, don't let the rejection stop you. Like, rejection sometimes is redirection. Like, at most, let it redirect you, but don't let it stop you. Don't give up. Like, I had someone in my DM, this girl was like 24, and she's like, I want to give up on my dream of becoming a Scrum Master. I'm like, but you're literally 24. Like, why are you giving up? This is just the start for you. Do not give up. If you feel like that's what you want to do, just keep doing it, keep trying different ways, keep asking for help, and you will eventually do it. You'll get there, because those roles are out there and you want it. You just need to connect yourself with it. And sometimes it takes time, but don't give up. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much, Kenny. That's your final word, because I was going to ask you, do you want to add more final words?
I'm so forward. I'm like, I'm going to do my final words now.
It's fine. No, if you want, do you want final words? Is that your final words?
That's my final
That's
word.
your final words. Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast, and we'll see you next week's episode.